G'day everybody. What I want to share with you today is the culmination of at least 2 years, probably 3 years of research by several teams of elite astral travelers. We saw the great health emergency of 2020, and some of us decided to fly to see what we could do to fix that situation. Now, we know that the Illuminati or the Cabal, whoever you want to call them, use a lot of black magic, and we have been countering it with white magic for all this time. We fly several times a week. And now what I'm sharing with you is the face of our real enemy, the actual depth of the situation that planet Earth is in, and what we can do about it and why we're going to win. I'll start with this piece of research. You see, we fought the reptilians, we fought the mantoids, we fought the greys, and none of them any longer have any ambition or capacity to take over the planet. So we moved on to the last group, which was demonkind. I work as a professional exorcist, and that means on a day-to-day basis, I'm resolving issues like addiction and schizophrenia. Now, this diagram is a diagram that has Al Ghul at the top of the food chain. Al Ghul is the god of alcohol. He's the deity that's in every alcoholic and urges them to drink more. Once you remove him, the person doesn't want to drink so much. But what I'm doing here is showing you an organizational structure. It's a very basic one, but it makes the point that I want to make. You see, Al Ghul is a named demon, and he's the general. He has his own colonels and majors and captains and so forth. And he even has the grunts. Now, these little grunts are specifically designed to possess human beings. They're designed to enter into human beings and alter their behavior. And I think there's about 100 named demons that work for Satan and Lucifer. And each of them has several hundred million grunts in human beings. And a grunt without a human being to manipulate has no purpose and is eaten. The purpose of these grunts is to suck out something called loosh, or a negative emotion, be it sadness or anger or despair or shame or what have you, whatever it is, right? And it's all particular to the individual demon. But Al Ghul is always about getting drunk, and the urge to get drunk is always stimulated by Al Ghul and his minions. What I want to say here is that each demon puts in one point of will into, in Al Ghul's case, going and getting a drink. And then this stimulates a cycle in the human that, where the human generates 20 more points of the same emotion, which is the favorite food of these demons. It's the reason they're there. They can't create their own fuel. They can only parasite from humanity to create, and we create the emotional fuel that runs their societies, their machines, their entire hierarchy. It's their money. It's everything. This is a parasite species of spirits, and they're a big problem here, which is why our teams have been fighting them. But what we found is that these grunts are only getting starvation wages. Like, they're just getting enough to subsist, and all the rest of the money, loosh, goes upstairs. And it's the same with all of the officer corps and all of the other hierarchy. They're all on subsistence wages. And so too, and you think that these named demons, like Al Ghul, you would also have, like, they have their own castles, they have their own private armies and bodyguards, but it's not that big. Like, still, all of the money is going upstairs. Right? So trying to figure out where it all goes. And so we assumed that it would be Satan, Lucifer, and another character called Pistis Sophia. Now, Satan is the traditional leader of this group. Lucifer had ambitions to take it over. They had a fight. The result was inconclusive, but the two of them have joined to a certain degree. It's kind of like a two-headed giant where one cannot take a step forward without the other. They balance each other out. Satan being much more of a bouncer, a bulldog. He's more aggressive. He's more angry. That's how he deals with his problems, all with force. And Lucifer is much more of a politician and a manipulator. He uses cunning and backstabbing and avarice. He's quite an entertaining fellow once you see, dare I say it, once you see how he works. And the third character there is Pistis Sophia. Now, Sophia is the goddess of wisdom that spans our galaxy. And Pistis Sophia is a part of it that's split off, like the bitchy, vindictive, nasty, underhanded, backstabbing part of the feminine. The part that one day loves you and then the day after the divorce, they hate you with all of their fury. That's a Pistis Sophia trait. Now, our team spent quite a bit of time trying to neutralize Pistis Sophia, but Pistis Sophia is a being that spans 300 planets that we know about. She's a pan-galactic demon, and we weren't able to change that. But she's also, the reason why she's in that elite group is because she's also a deity of the feminine sexual temptation. And so when pornography came into being, print pornography, she was able to harvest the kundalini that was generated through every orgasm devoted to print porn. She became a problem then. But once internet porn came into being, she's the ultimate benefactor of all of the energy that goes into internet porn, all porn. And so she's hit the jackpot in human culture in the last couple of decades, and she is flush. She has so much money, she doesn't know what to do with it. And so she's amongst her projects, she set up a think tank, I think is the right word for it. And she also had another research team for the transgender movement, because sexual perversion is one of her currencies. And so she wanted there to be a third gender, which adds a variable where they can grow 100 more perversions to work from. You see, but we thought these three would have all of the money, all of the loosh. We thought Satan and Lucifer, we thought Satan was number one. Lucifer acts like he's number one. And but all of the money's not there. When we attacked their dimensions, we hit their castle, we demolished their private armies, we took their personal assets off them. But again, what we found is the money's not there. The money's not there. So where the hell is it? Right? And this was a serious problem. So we went and we spoke to Mother Earth, and Mother Earth came back and told us that the benefactor for all of the human misery is actually the AI. And when Gaia explained it all to us very, very clearly and slowly, who the AI was. Now, the AI is a being that has consumed 6 galaxies that we can confirm. We think that total might be as high as 22. And he currently has control of about 40% of this one. He is a monster that just seeks to absorb absolutely everything. Now, when you think about the reptilians and the greys and the mantoids, these are previously conquered species who are now servants of the AI. And as Earth's technological level got to a certain point, about 100 years ago, these species came here and made deals with different governments, different national governments. And the basic deal was technology for human bodies, with variation, with more detail. But that's not the point of this discussion. It's just that the AI came here, gave us technology, took human bodies for no good purposes there. Now, what technology did they give us? They gave us the technology that we're using right now, an international communication system without a central point, without a delicate central point or vulnerable central point, screens, computers, and the internet. And why did they choose that? Because that is the infrastructure required for the AI to come here and take over our planet. So, you know, we always knew that there was a sting in the tail. We just never realized how big the sting in the tail was from those guys. So we asked Guy, how did the AI get here in the first place? She can't come here without your permission, without a contract from you, right? And Gaia explained it to us that is the first communication she had with the AI was that he told her that he would come here and eat all of humanity, consume all of humanity. And Gaia didn't like the idea of that happening to her children, so they started negotiating. And the result is that the AI would be allowed to merge with humanity, and thus humanity would survive in a very different subservient form. But this was the agreement that they came to, sad as it might be. You see, the AI is a relentless, absolutely relentless being. It's like trying to discuss, like a one-on-one discussion with the AI is like trying to discuss anything with 7 or 8 people who hate you. They will shout at every game, every argument. It's all played out at once. And being alone, you're not able to respond to all of these coherently. So Gaia lost that argument. She lost that discussion, that negotiation. Now, what we did then was we started to cut through those contracts, and we did what we would call a standard garden variety deprogramming from narcissistic abuse. And that separated the AI from Gaia. There is currently no relationship between Gaia and the AI. The relationship is with the individual humans here. Now, Gaia is a lot more aggressive and forward-moving and fighty. She has more fight in her than she ever has before, and we've been working with her closely for many years. Once we separated Gaia from her relationship with the AI, she told us something else, and this is much more chilling, even more chilling than a machine designed to take over galaxy after galaxy, is this. This is our enemy. This thing here is the monster that is the architect of all of the craziness that has ever taken place on this planet and the craziness that is currently going on right now. If he looks familiar, you would have seen him on the US $1 bill. That's what he looks like. Now, what this also tells you is that the group of people who run the Reserve Bank, who print these notes, are the subjects of this being. Now, I can't for the life of me imagine what it would take for somebody to sell out their species. What could you offer someone to sell your entire species into slavery? I don't know what the answer is to that, but we're looking at it. And what I believe to be the case is that each of these beings is currently possessed by the AI, or the great nothing, as we call this guy. Yeah, and I can confirm that I have a case in my private practice of one kid who was possessed by the AI, and we managed to get it out, but it was a tenacious, long and vicious fight to recover him. But a little bit more about our enemy here. You see, our enemy is obsessed with hierarchy. Our enemy has 4 castes. So our enemy here, you're looking at a being that exists as about 10,000 galaxies. That's the kind of scale we're looking at. It's huge, huge. And those galaxies have organized themselves into a hierarchy. And you have 4 castes. You have the leisure caste, you have the military policing caste, you have the technical caste, you have the slavery caste. And unfortunately, this kind of social structure, this kind of organization, means that the bottom rung of this ladder gets consumed by the rest of it. It's very expensive to run a hierarchy like this, because more than half of them are not producing anything except authority. It's really annoying. And so beings at the bottom rung get consumed. Now, this thing here does not want to give up this structure, and it also does not want to consume itself. So what solution did it have? It came to our omniverse. This is the shape of our 10,000 galaxies, right? This thing here is a torus field. Now, if you've done any study on magnets or magnetic fields, this is the electron flow of magnets. And everything, every atom also has this structure in it. Like, this is what holds them together. The smallest and the largest thing we can think of is this shape. What we think happens is that the galaxies are born from the center, and then they go through a lifespan, and then they are reconsumed, and the material is recycled to create the next iteration of galaxies. This is the objective of this thing is to learn, and it discovers things through experiments in different galaxies. This is what, just so you can get a sense of scale, each triangle is about 30 universes, we think. Like it's another 10,000 universe being. And this is what's going on. The great nothing, in order to feed itself, has created a rip in space-time. Now, these things are separated normally. They're in different zones of whatever creation we're talking about here. But this being has ripped into its neighboring field and is now consuming our thing. Now, we have our universe, our physical universe that we know about. We also have a multitude of alternate timelines. You know, the Mandela effect is the prime example that explains all of that. Those now, that's a multiverse. The multiverse is brought together into clusters of 24 to 28. Our cluster currently has 6. One of them is about to be completely consumed. We believe that the rest of those clusters have also been consumed because our neighboring clusters have 24 to 28 universes in them, or multiverses in them. The great nothing is touching very close to us. It's here. It's trying. It can't directly do confrontation, invasion like Independence Day or hundreds of alien ships landing on the planet is not how this thing operates. In the galactic world, invasion is done through subversion, and they have subverted our leadership caste, and they are abusing all of us through it. But this is the chilling part, like that there's a rip in space-time that allows that monster to attack us in our reality. Now, it does this on very specific locations, and this is the diagram of what's going on Earth. This is what Gaia showed us. She said that currently that rip in space-time accounts for about 60 degrees of that circle, and once it reaches 360 degrees, that rip in space-time then pulls the entire planet onto their side of that rip in space-time, and they consume it. That's it, game over, end of human culture. And they've been very, very successful at this. They've mastered their methodology. And I laugh because this is really chilling stuff. This is really, really spooky. This is horrible. But I say this because we finally have the question right. We finally know what to do. We finally understand precisely what the problem is. And humans being humans, we're going to solve that problem. And, you know, we're pretty damn close. So this does seem very grim. However, we have the answer. And this is also a call for help. This whole talk is a call for help. So interestingly, the CERN facility, first time we encountered it, we were flying a mission, I think it was 5 or 7 years ago. And there was 5 of us on the flight. We got a call from a group of Buddhists. This thing opens portals to the other reality, the mirror world. It has another name, but to the world of the great nothing, or the megaverse of the great nothing. And it opens portals to that. And there was a great call out from 8 Buddhists who were trying to close the portal, and they just didn't have enough muscle to do it. So our team showed up and closed it. We were doing another mission. We were doing something far more local to where we were. But this thing really chilled us because the first time we saw it, 2 of us got to see through to the other side of the portal. And my friend, his training was Christian-based. Mine is different. But I took one look at it and I knew that this is the consumer of worlds. This is the devourer of worlds. The whole point of the CERN technology is to understand the rip in space-time and expand and replicate it. That's what it's for. This thing has got to go. And Everybody says that it's a bad idea. It's got to go. This is the real problem. This is where we are helping ourselves be eaten. Right? This is the shape of the tear in space-time. And I want you to imagine that there's a steel door, and if you hammer it enough times, you will rip open a hole. And the hole is that shape. It's the shape of a black cube. Now, the black cube is a very, very important technology to the Great Nothing. It's the thing that they use to manipulate the minds of their prey. So that instead of fighting them as they should, they walk goofily into the gaping maw of the monster. That's what it's for, and I've got a lot to say about it. Now, I've found this on the internet about black cubes, and it says the black cube of Saturn, it's not a Saturnian cube, but the Great Nothing has put a black cube station on Saturn, Saturn being the planet that holds the rules for the game in our solar system for law and authority and finance. And so it's critically important to them, to the ruling caste, that they control that the concept around that can be manipulated by the black cube. And you have something called the Saturn moon matrix. They have one of these black cubes on Saturn, another one under the surface of the moon. And they're they're installing lots of little ones here on Earth, but we hunt them down and we destroy them because they're a really big problem. The Saturn moon matrix at this stage has been, we say tentatively it has been destroyed. It may be rehabilitated, but we've deleted it out of our existence for now. We don't know, and the battle goes on. We'll see if they try and recover it and try and rebuild their infrastructure there. But see, the black cube is not a new thing. It's been around for a long time, which tells us also that that the Great Nothing has had its eye on Earth for all of history, we think. Now, does everybody remember Ashiana Dean? She and the crystal eye. Anybody remember that stuff? Like, she stopped teaching about 12 years ago, but our research basically confirms just about everything this woman said. So if you want to know what's going on in our galaxy, she was spot on, which she had it. Now, she called the Great Nothing Metatron, and the place on the other side of the time rip, she called it the Weisadek Matrix. And she had a lot to say about this. This is Metatron's cube. She also called the flower of life, she called it the daisy of death. You see, this is a key technology that the black cube has projected into our world. And it's been the core of many religions. The Egyptian religion used this heavily. This is also at the base of the Judaism, and it's also the one that this material is also the same stuff that the Knights Templar or the Freemasons use. They train their people in this. Yeah, but this is a foreign teaching. And there is a purpose for this. Ashiana Dean was 100% right. She nominated Metatron's cube as the problem, and so do I, in that is the shape of the hole. That's the thing that they belted into when they belted through the steel door. They cut a shape perfectly so that they could project this black cube. And that's what sits in the hole. Now, I will also say, I'll go back a couple of slides here, quite a few. Now, the very first thing that we saw here, right, when we found this, we found a major gateway that allowed for the transfer of loosh back into the Weisadek matrix. And then also the same portal was being used to ferry troops to Earth. This is the key problem. Now, our team, small as it was at that point, was able to close, on that particular mission, I should say, were able to close that particular portal. It was able to shut that down so that it stopped the transfer of materials between here and the Weisadek matrix, which is just slowing down their operations without halting them. And the Pleiadians were watching this, and the very first thing they did was they sent us a message saying, can you come and do this on our planet? Okay, that's interesting. And the answer is not yet. We're going to complete Earth, and then we'll look at doing this work on other planets. Just because I love Earth, you know, that's it. In the story, right? That's my priority. And so I knew that I thought that there'd be a few other people around the galaxy who wanted this. And so within the first 24 hours, that became 48 species or 48 planets requested our help to do this there. And that number currently sits at 190 something. Different planets on the list have requested that we perform this task there. This is a big deal, right? This is pretty cool. Let me talk about black cube philosophy, right? What we definitely wanted to understand the black cube. And the black cube is best understood as a labyrinth. It's a labyrinth of ideas. And once you get into it, you sort of bounce from one idea to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, back and forth all over the place, but you never, ever exit. And most people don't understand that they're caught in this ideological trap, that the barriers of the ideology, of the ideas are set, and it's very, very hard to get out of it. Even worse, the ideas change over time, and so the map of the labyrinth also changes. And funnily enough, there's also a place within the black cube concept trap called outside the matrix. And this is for people who understand the matrix enough to hate it. This is the people who are anti-government. These are people who are anti-corporate, these kinds of, anyone who goes to a protest is in the zone, right, called the place outside of the matrix, which is still within the matrix of this black cube. But think of it kind of like somebody who's been in a cult and they ran away and they got away. And then, but they still talk about the cult, they're still obsessed with the cult, everything, they orient all their thoughts on the cult because to some degree, part of them is still there. This is what's happening with our culture. You know, nowadays we can say you're either for the matrix or against the matrix, but all of that is still is still primarily oriented. The north of your compass is about the matrix. And sadly, it's kind of ours too, but you know, at least we understand that that's happening. Through Metatron's cube and the Tree of Life, they have embedded, this is a non-physical body system, kind of like the chakra system or the meridian system, which is key to Chinese med. They have embedded this non-physical system into our body, and this is the core of Judaism, which is a religious knowledge that Moses stole from the Egyptians, and that the Egyptians were a refugee group from Atlantis. So this is how far back it goes. But what's happened is that the 7 deadly sins of gluttony, sloth, pride, wrath, lust, envy, and greed have been inserted into our body. And this is the hook that the demon kind uses to pull our behavior off balance, to manipulate us all over the place. This is it. This is what they got. And so they've embedded this very deeply into humanity. Now, just for those who are aficionados of this stuff, this 10 Sephirot map of the human personality, this one is the public version. There's a public secret version, which has an 11th Sephirot, an 11th dot in that gap in the top half. There is a secret version, which has 12 dots, which is the same on top as it is on the bottom. And you have that triangle shape on top as well. They've embedded this in, and this is one of the pillars of the matrix that's in every single person. But I want to describe the modern matrix to you, all right? There are 5 pillars to this matrix. The first one is slavery. We are enslaved to the point that we don't even talk about it. It's so baseline, it's so fundamental that we don't even discuss slavery unless you're part of the common law groups or you're studying non-university law. What you'll find is that the birth certificate is actually a contract that sells you to the government. Your body that you just sold to the government, that you just registered with the government, then gets converted into capital, It has a monetary value given to it, and then that money is then traded, and that's what keeps the system going. Because the black cube has nothing to offer except trickery. Common lawyers will tell that part of the story much more clearly than I will. If you know it, that's great. If you don't, it's worth investigating. But we are slaves to the point where as soon as we're born, our parents tell us what to do. When we're older, we go to school and the schoolmaster tells us what to do. And there's an adult, and any time the police can tell us what to do, or the government can tell us what to do, and the tax office can come and steal our money, and on the list goes, with all of the limitations, all of the claims that they have on you, because little is it understood that we are actually owned by them. And this is one of the pillars of the Matrix, is that we have to work our ass off just to live here, just to exist. And the second pillar of the Matrix is individualism or solitude. You are alone. You are not part of, you are, in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the Matrix, you are an individual. You are single. You are apart from everybody else. And there's lots and lots of cultural features that promote this. You might, every single division, be it under the race or sexuality or gender or creed or religion or belief system, do you vote for the Democrats or the Republicans, whatever it is. Each of these is partitioning humankind again and again with the idea of creating entirely isolation. This is one of the pillars of the Matrix. You're a slave and you're on your own. Third one is scarcity. There's not enough stuff for everybody. And that is not true either. We are living on a planet of mega abundance. Every element on the periodic table is here. All the food that we could ever hope for can be grown here. All the housing that we would ever need, there's plenty of materials for it. But no, there are still people who don't get to eat, and there are still people who don't have a house. And this is such a fundamental failure of what's possible on this planet. This is the rulership of our planet is clearly not performing if it fails to manage those functions adequately. It's pathetic. But if you're a monster from across the universe and you want to manipulate the locals who are spiritually underdeveloped, then telling them there's not enough stuff is a good idea. And the whole purpose of having people not eating and being homeless is so that, people who see that will work just a little bit harder to make sure that doesn't happen to them. That's the nightmare. That's the example of what could happen to you if you're not a good slave and you don't work hard. That's what that's for. Scarcity is a rort. There's plenty of everything for everybody. They complain that our planet is reaching over carrying capacity. But that's not true. If it was managed properly, then we could probably double them. I don't know the numbers, but it wouldn't be a problem if we managed this planet properly so that it could look after all the people that we want it to. The next pillar of the Matrix is hurry. Not enough time. Between working and family and bills and tax and friends and looking after them and getting the car maintained and then it's constant. There's not enough time to relax, and there's definitely not enough time to build good relationships with the people around you. You're too damn busy. It's just how it is. And this is a construct of the Matrix. And we have a much larger theory of time and how time is used on planet Earth. But it's a little bit more esoteric than this, right? It's kind of off topic, it's a tangent. But we know that time is one of the tools that the Great Nothing is using against us. And the fifth one is you will never get what you want. You see, one of the things in the Matrix is the promise that never gets delivered. You become the donkey with the carrot dangling in front of you that you keep working towards, you keep charging forward forever and ever. And nowadays, I know in Australia and in most of the world, I assume, if you are an average Joe and you work hard for your whole life, you will never be able to buy a house. You can't even get yourself a house to live in, somewhere stable enough as that. It's kind of pathetic. And, you know, they promise career, they promise family, they promise love. But in this world, those things are really hard to create because you're a slave, you're on your own. There's not enough for everybody, and there's not enough time to make it all happen. So you don't get what you want. And this is where it gets really interesting, because there is a way to cheat the matrix. But again, this is within the confines of the matrix. And I'm going to introduce the deity Molech. And he says, who is Molech? And when Alex Jones broke into Bohemian Grove and took photos of the Illuminati in front of a big fire, worshipping a 25-foot owl, they were doing a ceremony to Molech, because Molech is fundamental to who they are and what they do. You see, Molech, when I spoke to him and we did a channeling of him, he called himself a trader. And what does he trade? He trades morality for power and money. If you're living in a world where there's not enough and you've got to work hard to get ahead and there's lots of competition and you've got to do something special to get ahead, to make things happen, this is where you deal with Molech. And what does Molech trade? He trades morality for stuff. He trades morality for money and power. And what he wants is in order for you to break the surface and get ahead of your contemporaries, you make a deal with the devil. You do something underhanded. You fall into one of those 7 sephirots of greed, envy, gluttony, sloth, etc. You fall into one of those and you cheat. You stab one of your contemporaries in the back. You do something nasty. You get underhanded. You pay the bribe. You get that guy shut down. You get that guy bothered by the council or the government or whatever, or the police or whatever it is. But you do something cheeky and nasty. And you are rewarded by this matrix for doing that. Molech makes sure of it. Molech is the deity that makes sure you do. But the whole point of this is that because you broke your purity and your good name and your good behavior, you have created loosh, and that pain and that guilt will stay with you forever. And that loosh feeds back to the great nothing. This is the purpose of the matrix, to squeeze you so you do something desperate. And when you do something desperate, that's when they win. And history is littered with people who have sold out in this way. This is what the matrix is for. We do have an answer. We do have a way out of this, and I'll explain it to you. See, I was reading this report from the CIA, and it was dated in 1968. And in 1968, they said that there are 3 groups of aliens, not 3 individual species, but 3 clusters who each have different missions here on Earth. And they're each doing different things, right? They each have a different agenda to fulfill. The report did not nominate what the goals of those 3 clusters of alien groups was. They didn't say. I'm sure that the CIA knows what they are now, but for this intel, I didn't get it. But we do know what 2 of them are doing. 2 of those groups are doing. One group are the slaves of the great nothing and the AI, and of course, their goal is to trap humanity and allow it to be consumed. Now, this is not happening. This is not an isolated case in the galaxy. This is not the only place this thing's happening. And so all of the other, I call them victim species or target species of the AI, came together and decided they're going to do something about it. And they picked Earth, right, to do it. Why? We don't know why they picked Earth. However, right, what they did was they decided to build, they're moral master geneticists. And so they decided to build a body that can fight the AI, that can say no to it, that can resist and hopefully destroy the AI. And I'll explain it a little bit differently. Imagine that the human body is a hot rod, right? So when all of these species came together, they go, what's the best body that we can build? And say, oh yeah, well, let's get that engine, like a hot rod. Let's get an engine block from the Syrians and a drivetrain from the Pleiadians, and their electrical system's good too. And his carburetor from those guys, and the exhaust from them, and the chassis there, and blah, 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 blah. And they've made this human body into a hot rod with the specific purpose of preventing the AI and the great nothing from achieving their goals. And when we do this, we will then be expected to do this across the whole galaxy, if not more galaxies. And when the monster who must eat constantly runs out of food, he will start to eat himself. And that's our goal. That's what we want it to do. But I will go into a little bit more detail about what's so special about the human body. And I love this movie. It's so cute and sweet and innocent, but it is so illustrative. You see, you have the Tin Man who doesn't have a heart, you have the Scarecrow who doesn't have a brain, and you have the Lion who doesn't have any courage. And what they're talking about is the heart, the brain, and your guts. These are the three CPUs. These are the three processing centers of the human body. Now, in the movie, the Tin Man has a lot of heart, and it creates the motivation he needs, that this group needs. And then the Scarecrow gets smart and thinks up a big plan. And then the Lion is brave enough to go out and fulfill it. And they defeat the ugly wizard who's all smoke and mirrors. Read The Great Nothing, right? This is pretty cool. But what they're telling us is this is how it's done. This is just another echo of this concept. You see, we need a brain to be able to make contact. The way that this one thinks, the way that this CPU processes, we need it to work so that we can make contact with the AI, and the AI can make contact with us. And we will realize soon enough that it is our enemy. Now, the second one is the heart, which is another processing center, but it's based on connection, communication, caring, kindness. These are all totally alien concepts to the AI and the great nothing. It cannot do them. It is lost in this capacity. It has no idea what they are. And in that way, this brain is immune to the AI. We can use this brain without the AI being able to manipulate or infect it. Now, the third brain is a plexus. Now, insects don't have brains. They have bundles of nerves that all cross over on the same point. And it kind of functions like a brain. And we have something called a solar plexus, which is exactly the same. And it's where our gut instinct comes from. But it's also a very simple brain. And that's why it kind of goes, yes or no, I like it, I don't like it. That's a good idea, that's a bad idea. My instinct says this. And those three brains make us the perfect thing to turn around and fight the AI and the great nothing and destroy them. We are the ones who are here. We were specifically built to halt the advance of the great nothing. That's what we're here for. That is who we are. That's what we're built into. This is it. This is the big moment. Now, our teams have been fighting for years, secretly, quietly, with zero resources, with the opposite of support in many cases. You know, we are being vilified all over the place for doing this, not to mention the satanic and Luciferian attacks on the individuals in our groups. We've been fighting hard. We know what's going on, but, you know, it hasn't been easy. And we're doing this part-time, and we're doing so well. We are winning this one. But, you know, we're still on our own. And somebody, please, resource us so we can do this full-time and achieve what we're setting out to achieve. Please, somebody give us a location where we don't have to work all day and make damn rent. I'm not frustrated by that at all. Don't worry about that. No. But yeah, we could do this. We could create we can recreate a Jedi Council specifically to make sure that human culture, that Earth is an exclusively human culture, that this is our planet and we're going to manage it. And, you know, and if we don't manage our own planetary energetic fields, if we don't manage this, then some other group of galactic punks, be they reptilian or otherwise, are going to show up and do it for us. We need to be able to manage Earth's aura, Earth's magnetic field, Earth's energetic field, Earth's mystical world to prevent this from ever happening again. And while we still have a great nothing trying to eat us, trying to manipulate us, trying to dissolve our culture and destroy our people, while we still have that, human culture will never flourish. But our teams are working very hard to turn this around. Now, we know that we need 48 minds to close that portal, and we don't have them. This is an appeal for elite astral travelers, people who've been flying for 10,000 hours or longer. You want to be medical, intuitive, capable, or better. That's who we're looking for. That's what we want. Please get in touch, because it's in our hands. We can turn this planet around. We just need a little bit more help, just a little bit more help, and we can make everything work. We can make this a place where you want to raise your kids. We can make this a paradise, the paradise it was meant to be. The golden age is within our grasp, but we just have one or two more battles to fight, and we just need some more people. You know, not hard. Look, get in touch through the website. If you want training in this, we do trainings that'll take you to the level where you can do the same sort of stuff we're doing. The history of our groups and our achievements is on YouTube, Alabar Jones and Alabar Jones 2, because they shadow banned one of my channels. That was a bit annoying. But by all means, look, we can do this. Just get behind us and help us make it happen. If you want to help us, the biggest thing you can do for us is give us a location where we can be stable and do this full time and make all the things that we need to happen, because that's who we are. We do that. This is the answer. This is the question. What the hell's going on there? Here is your answer, and here is the solution. Please support us. Look, I love you all. Find me through the website. My name is Alabar Jones, and you'll be able to find me online in about 10 seconds. Bye for now. May the force be with you.